Diana, I got your number from your resume on LinkedIn. My name is Sarah, and I'm an old student of, and like you, we had a relationship. I don't know the circumstances of your relationship with him, but it concerns me to see his behavior continued long after I knew him. I'm curious if you would be willing to talk to me about your experience. If not, I respect that.
Sarah, I am at a loss of words, but also have so much to say. Yes, I would love to talk to you about this. Were you a student in Iowa? This is Diana.
This is Sarah.
And this is Blooming After Grooming, our podcast.
Speaking
All right,
of time,
so we're just,
is it time to start doing our podcast?
I think we've already started it, but yes,
We've
welcome
already
officially.
started.
Officially to, I can say this confidently,
Mm.
our season finale, the
Yay!
last episode in this season 1 of Blooming After Grooming. I know I've said over the last few weeks that this is going to be the last one. For sure, this is the last one. Unless, who knows? Breaking news. Oh my gosh. No. Okay, yeah. This is going to be the last one.
We'll believe it when we see it, Diana. You know, we've been burned by you a few times.
I know. I'm sorry. Empty promises I'm making over here. But today, Sarah, we are going to reflect on how season 1 went and also talk about ideas that we have for season 2. Are you looking forward to talking about that?
Smooth as butter, baby girl. Yes. Yeah, Diana, what's your I should have come prepared with questions. I'm sure you did.
I
Did you
have some questions.
Okay.
How do you know?
You're such good at because I realized I should have, and then I thought, well, if I didn't, then she probably did, because that's how we work.
Okay. Well, Sarah, my first question for you. Can you talk a little bit about like what your friends and family, their reactions, what's it been like for the people closest to you?
Ooh, good question, Diana. See, you're such a good interviewer. I think this season 2 is going to be great because you're going to come in with good questions. I'm just going to be fucking shooting from the hip. It's going to be a good time. Friends and family. Yeah. I have some people that have listened to all of it and are keeping up with it. I have a lot more people that I feel like listened to maybe the first few episodes and then have never mentioned it again. So I don't know if they ever finished, which is fine. Yeah, I feel like it's been kind of that, like, I wanted people that I'm close to listen to it, but I don't want to be that person that's like, you have to listen to my project because it's my thing. Because it's a lot to listen to. It's a lot of hours and it's a heavy subject. But as far as like feedback from people, yeah, it's all been great. Like I've just had so many people reach out and share, their own experiences, of things that may have happened to them that the podcast has kind of helped them reframe in a way. And I have other people that like have not listened to any of it, but they watch the internet clips that we put out there and they like those. Yeah, I don't know. I've had some good interactions. I can't say I've had any that were really like surprising or out of left field. I did just have a friend yesterday, like I messaged you, who is a counselor who said that they had suggested our podcast to clients, which was pretty amazing and felt really cool to know that, a professional person thought that our podcast was worthy of sharing with a client. Yeah, I don't know. And my delightful neighbor is still listening. I was getting in my car yesterday and he was like, I love the last episode. Like, it's just so freaking precious.
Hi, Mike.
I know. Hi, Mike. I wondered if it was an episode where we like said his name or something because he kind of had a smile on his face. And then I've got some coworkers that are listening, which is pretty cool. Yeah, I've just been surprised by the amount of people, I guess, in my life that were willing to spend the time to listen to it. And my dad has sent some very sweet messages, because he works with victims of assault and abuse quite often as a cop. And, I think he sees the value in it for other survivors. So we've had some pretty cool text exchanges just about, the value of expressing your experience for other survivors to listen to.
I remember you were really nervous about your dad finding the podcast.
I just know my dad, and my dad is always like, be careful. I could tell my dad I am going to go to the grocery store and he would tell me, be careful, right? Because he's my dad and he is a police officer and, his mind, he sees a lot of the shitty side of the world. And so I was really concerned that he would be like, oh my God, what are you doing? You're going to get sued, or you're going to like piss people off, or you're going to whatever. And he wasn't at all. Like maybe I'm sure he's feeling that inside somewhere and he's just hiding it from me. But no, like, he was just like, "I'm really proud of you, and I think it's really cool what you guys are doing, and I think it's important that you're making a space for other survivors." It's been really, really, really neat. So I know that he's at least watched our TikToks. I don't know that he's ever actually listened to the podcast, but I know he's watched our
Oh, okay.
TikToks.
So he
Yeah.
doesn't know that the the world that is our listeners, know him as Detective Sarah's dad.
I think I told him that you called him Detective Sarah's dad, and he chuckled about it. How has it been on your side as far as, like, friends and family listening or not listening or reacting to the podcast?
All it's been all good as well. My
Yeah.
sister, when the podcast first came out, she did have to, like, take a little break, and,
Mm.
I know that was a little hard for her because she wants to be supportive, like, she wants to listen to all the episodes, but like you were saying, like, it is a heavy topic, and I think, for people who are closer to us and who we have actual relationships with,
Mhm.
our friends and family, it's hearing some of the things that we went through, um, I think is, could be hard. My darling friend Kevin said that he cried listening to one of the episodes, and he was like,
Aw.
"I didn't know you were going through that." And I think I totally understand. I need to take a little break, but she came back to it,
Sure.
and I'm proud of her for setting that boundary, for herself, because we've said it multiple times in multiple episodes of, listen with care, take a break when you need to, stop listening altogether if you need to.
Mhm.
So you've never done, like, a marathon listen through.
No. No.
Sarah, but that's where the magic happens, where
That sounds like where I get a new neuroses about my speaking habits is what sounds like that would be. No, but we're about to go on a road trip, so, I'm sure Carl can hear it right now and he'll cringe, but maybe I'll make him listen to, like, 20 hours of us talking on our
Oh my
drive to
gosh.
Tennessee.
I did that. I
Yeah.
drove to Tennessee, and it was 10 hours for me, and I listened to, I think, 9 or 10 episodes, and I wanted to do that, one, to prepare for this season finale, but also just to see how it flows,
Mm,
because when I edit the episodes, it takes me hours to do it, so
mm.
I don't feel like I get the full, like, nice just flow of it. There's a lot of,
Sure.
like, rewinding and going back, you know what I mean? So, like, I wanted to listen to it to see how it actually flows, and that's when I realized, "Oh my gosh, how hilarious. We're getting it wrong the whole way," like, saying, "Oh, next week we're gonna talk about terminology," but we're really talking about, like, sliding doors. I like, throughout the
And
whole season, it's like that.
and the whole time in the background, I'm like, "Stop doing that. Stop
Yeah.
announcing things, Diana." And you're like, "Shut
Yes.
up, you. I'll just keep doing it."
And I did, and here we are.
I hope that
So
listeners find our chaos at least slightly charming, you know?
was there anything that surprised you about any of it? Like, after we released the podcast, after we started doing the social media, after we started
Mhm.
calling for emails
Yeah.
and, whatever, was there anything that surprised you about this whole process?
Well, I'm surprised people actually listened because
Oh,
my
that's
negative
true.
Nilly ass was like, 3 people are gonna listen, no one's gonna care, we're gonna do all this work, and we're gonna do 4 episodes, and then we're gonna give up. So I am impressed that we made it through first season. I am impressed that we recorded over 30 episodes. I am surprised that anybody is listening because I tend to be keep your expectations very low and then you can't be disappointed, which I know is a coping mechanism. People don't think I need to be told about it. I'm aware. It's just the way that I choose to move through the world. I will say it's just funny thinking back of like I just feel like we're just so much more comfortable talking while we're recording now. And I feel like when we first pushed it out into the world, I was much more nervous about like about the teacher finding out about it and him like coming after us. And now I'm just like, eh, whatever. I don't know. That isn't on my mind as much as it was in the beginning. And then just the listener responses. It's just been really powerful to have people reach out and say that like our podcast has helped them and we've helped facilitate conversations between mothers and kids about boundaries and
Yeah.
consent and like I'm just super proud of us for that. Like if nothing else ever comes of this, like we know for a fact that we like positively impacted, a couple of dozen people's lives, which is super cool and like I don't know, something that could have just not happened if you had not been like, "Hey, let's make a podcast." How about you? Was there anything that surprised you through the process? or has surprised you as the
Um,
outcome?
Something that surprised me, my mom's a listener. Yeah,
What?
I don't know if I've, even told you about it, but yeah, my
No, you didn't tell
dear
me that.
mother is a listener, and, I
I'm
think
sorry, Diana's mom, that the first time you met me was listening to me cuss on the internet.
but yeah, I wasn't sure if she was listening. I wasn't sure if any of my family, was listening. Like, I put it out
Mhm,
there. My sister was the only one who was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna try to listen to it." Actually, I couldn't listen to it. I'm gonna try
mhm,
again later. She's the only one that's anything about it. There was some tension in my family within the last year. And one day she and I had this nice heart to heart conversation where I was like, "There's things we need to talk about, so I'm calling you to talk about these things." And in that
mhm,
conversation, I did mention how, I've been working really hard on this and it's really important to me, and you guys like not really showing interest in it has been a little upsetting to me. And she was like, I don't know how to do it, like I don't know where to find it. And I helped her, find
mhm.
out like how to access it. And I was really proud of my mom in that conversation because I did let off some stuff off my chest, and
Yeah,
I was kind of really direct and a little harsh, and she took it, she listened, and she apologized where she needed to apologize. And she even said like, "You guys are still teaching us things." And like, I'm grateful for that, and I want to learn, and I want to do better than I did, back then.
mhm.
So, mom, if you're listening, I'm very proud of you that you're my mother, and thanks for supporting me. But yeah, it
Aw.
means a lot that she is listening, and I'm sure it is hard, to hear some of the stuff that we do talk about. Or yeah, I appreciate that she has become a fan and a listener. She's commented on a few of our videos of like, "Good job,
Oh, yeah?
girls," or something like
Aw,
that.
cute. Well, I'm glad that you guys could have that conversation. I think that has been a weird line, yeah, of like, there's been certain people in my life where I've been like, I don't know that they're listening, or I've messaged and be like, oh, have you checked it out yet? And they've been like, no. And there's been a part of me that's been like, oh, kind of hurts my feelings a little bit. But then I'm also like, well, people have got their own lives, I guess, and they've got their own reasons. And I don't want to be that person that's like, yeah, you have to listen to my trauma podcast, is kind of an epic request.
Would you say that we reached our intended goal with our podcast, Sarah?
Yeah, because our goal was to help at least one person, right?
Yeah.
We have done that leaps and bounds. We have had many people reach out. And so I think we have reached our goal. And our other goal was to get over 10 episodes or 12 episodes, whichever one
Mhm.
it was, that was like nobody gets past. And we did that. So I feel very accomplished. I feel very proud of us. I think we'll have to set a new goal for season two.
What is something you are excited about for season 2?
I'm excited about us having guests on and trying to figure out how the hell to do that. How to keep our vibes and our banter while also facilitating a third person in there, I think will be interesting challenge for us. I'm excited just to get other people. I think the people we've been talking to who are willing to come on the podcast are like fascinating people who
Mm,
have some really awesome work that they're doing, or kind of niche subcategories of the issue. I think it's going to be fascinating just to kind of shine a light on this community, that we have become a part of. Like I said in that Zoom call we had like a week or two ago, of like, it's a club no one wants to be in, but it's a
mm,
club full of a lot of badasses, and so it's pretty
yeah.
cool to like get to know some of these people, and they're inspiring, and I think they inspire both of us to keep going and do more and learn more about the issues all the time. So I think it'll be interesting for listeners to realize, like, A, how many people there are out there doing great work, and then B, like how many kind of categories it can go into, and like
Yeah.
subgenres, and state by state versus federal versus preventative versus reactives, criminal justice versus restorative. Like there's just so many directions, which I think is good for people to hear, because if you're a survivor or you're not a survivor and it's something you're just fucking passionate about and you want to get involved, that you can kind of find a niche that really calls to you, and there's already kind of a community out there that you can throw your support behind. How about you? What are you looking forward to on season 2? Different intro. We're
Mhm.
gonna need a different intro. I think we
You
should
think
mix
so?
it up. I think so. I think you gotta
What are you envisioning?
it's all just like, blooming after grooming. Boink. I
All
don't
right,
know.
so something a little bit more metal, something a little bit more rock and roll, upbeat.
If you want blooming after grooming. Try to do like an AC/DC riff. No, I don't know. We'll see. I actually have a friend who's a band. I should talk to him about it. James, where are you? I'll see if his band can make us something. It would be really funny, actually, if it was just like,
Come into this room and get ready to bloom. But there's gonna be no rooming for grooming, only a
mm-mm,
bloomin'. Zoomies, I'm
ooh.
zooming. All right, we just made
Yeah.
our season 2 opener.
So, also, maybe we could do a call to listeners for their suggestions, right? What
Yes.
do they wanna see on season 2? What do they wanna hear? Did they think we need a new
Oh,
intro? Did they think
I
we should
thought you were
actually get an
gonna write our
outro?
song. Yeah.
Or they can also write a song. Listen, if you would like to write, record, produce, edit, and send us a free song, we would love it. And give us all the rights to use it. I mean, you do that with your free time. That's fine.
I guess now I'm looking forward to seeing what our season 2 opener is going to be. And yes, I am also very excited for some of the guests that have agreed to be on, which include a journalist,
Mhm.
advocate, uh, a- perhaps an author. Yes, an author.
Right?
And I also am really looking forward to a terminology part two. I've been thinking a lot about that. And then also just more groom scrolls. We've gotten some
Mhm.
fun suggestions for groom scrolls. I'm excited to talk about books in our groom scroll season 2.
In between seasons, I added a whole category in the Excel sheet, which I should have said earlier at the top of
Oh,
our
I saw it. I love
conversation.
it.
Okay, so having like content in between seasons to keep people engaged. And one of
Mhm.
them was the idea of doing a book club between seasons. We don't have to decide that
Ooh.
right now, but I guess we would want to because we'd want to have it in the recording. And it could be a book that you and I have already read, I guess, but to invite listeners to read a book and then do some kind of online book club in between seasons.
What would the book be?
Well, we both read My Dark Vanessa. We both have you finished Being Lolita?
Yes. You want to do being
Uh,
Lolita?
I love Being
Okay.
Lolita, so I think that would be a good. We haven't even you and I haven't even talked about Being Lolita, which is wild.
I
So
don't think
that's
I
like
even
a whole
told you that I
other.
finished it.
No,
Yeah.
you didn't. No, you didn't. You told me
Sorry.
about your fucking Coke Zero ear, but not finishing the book.
Okay, so listeners, read Being Lolita by Allison Wood with us and check out our social medias for, book club stuff.
Yeah, book club stuff. We'll figure it out. We'll
Mhm.
listen. We'll sure it up later. But I think it would be a fun little project. Yeah, I'm excited about just kind of expanding our little world and seeing, directions we can go. And I just hope that people stick with us and come back for season 2.
Yeah, Sarah, what are you going to do? What are you going to do this like holiday season? I mean, realistically, I don't know if we're going to come back before the holidays. So,
Probably not. Let's be honest with
any big
ourselves.
plans?
I'm going to Tennessee to see Nico Case in a cave.
Oh,
What
oh,
what?
amazing. That's going to be amazing.
Her new album comes out tomorrow because this is September 24th. So check out Nico Case's new album in the future where you are, listener. It will have been out for a week or two at that point. She is my all-time favorite musician. And
She's
I've seen
fucking awesome.
she's amazing. I always tell people if they haven't listened to her before, to me, she sounds like if Mother Nature had a voice. Like she's
Yeah.
fucking stunning voice.
Which she
And
was really self-conscious about, which blows my mind, but I guess whatever, we're our worst critic.
And then she actually wrote an amazing memoir. Did you ever read her memoir?
No, but she was just on, WTF with Mark Maron, and she, sounds like she lived a life.
Oh
Like
shit, dude. Yeah. Her childhood story is
yeah.
bleak. So her memoir is called The Harder I Fight, the More I Love You. And it is a gorgeous book. It is so well written. And it's an insane story and a super fast read. But I do love Nico Case. So this will be, I think, my 7th time seeing her in
Oh,
concert.
wow.
And it's in a cave in Tennessee, and I am so fucking excited about it because her voice is so, like, ethereal, and the idea of getting it to hear it echo through a fucking cave, like, it just
That's
feels
gonna be
like the
magic.
perfect venue to see her.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm very excited about it.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of it. Besides that and surviving being a college professor for a semester. Those are my goals for the holiday season. How about you?
I too am going to a concert next month. I'm gonna go see Chapel Roan in Kansas City.
Ooh, I didn't know
I'm
that.
so
Nice.
excited. Yes. This would be my second time seeing her. October 4 or 3, one of those two is I saw
Okay.
her at the same day last year, and she's playing another show this year on the exact
Well,
same
is it
day. So
October 3rd or October 4th or October 1st singer?
I think it's the third.
That's T12, baby. Taylor Swift's new album comes out on the 3rd. So you're going to be at Chapel Roan. I'm going to be fucking jamming out to Taylor Swift with my Swifty friends. Oh shit, it's going to be a good weekend.
It's gonna be quite a fun, yeah. And then well, listeners, I'm probably single at this point. So
Oh, boing, 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 boing. I mean, my condolences to that, but like, hey, watch out, life. Bow, chicka, wah, wah.
Yes, so that'll be interesting. I'm thinking about maybe doing a podcast about that called
Mm.
My Mild Oats. You know, because you can't get too wild when you're 35.
My favorite thing.
So stay tuned.
I love it. I want a shirt that says that. Like, because as a person that likes to make bad choices, but also has like a real phobia of getting injured, I feel like that
Safety
explains my
Sarah.
entire life. I sewed my mild oats. Okay, if you need merch for that podcast, I would love to support it because that's really funny. Oh shit, that's good stuff. Go for it. Yeah.
Yes.
You got to be
Yeah.
careful out on them streets, man. There are some crazy people. I every time I see stuff about like Tinder or dating apps, I like send it to Carl and I'm like, "We can never break up. It is dire out there, man. Like I can't go back." But what's good for you, and you can edit this out if you want to. You're swinging all directions at this point. So your
Yes.
net's going to be wide.
Yes. I'm very
So
excited about that.
if we're picking up ladies, you're gonna be fine. If your net includes
Yes.
the females, I think you're gonna be great out there.
I am super excited.
So you're gonna be at Chapel Roan as a single bi person, correct? Is this the categories we're using?
Queer.
Queer. Okay.
Yeah.
Girl, you could be scooping up some exciting business that evening, is all I'm saying.
I could. Will I though? Like weeks after getting out of
I mean, you could at least have a good makeout session.
Oh my god, that's so true.
Oh, just like a really nice
I'm
hard makeout.
a good makeout. It's been a while.
With like a
It
hot
has.
lady.
No one's touched me there in a damn hot minute.
You just be like, "Ah, la, 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 la." It'd be a great time. Be a great fucking time. You need to start thinking about your outfit now.
Oh, hold on. Want to see? Go to our Instagram at Blooming After Pod.
This is what I plan on wearing to the movie theater. Life of a showgirl, baby. Yeah. So we will both just be like glammed up that weekend. I love it.
Yes, back to our listeners. That's going to be my holiday season is trying to not be so sad and embrace being a single lady.
The single ladies.
Single lady.
Lady. Nice. I like it. I love it. I think you need to trademark your podcast. Mild Oats. I can't get over it. It's really good. I really like it. So in season 2, we plan on having guests on, and we kind of already talked about vaguely who some of our guests would be. But as a little treat to listeners, as a little trailer for season 2, we do have a little bit of a clip of a conversation that we had with Faith Coulson, who we have mentioned on the podcast numerous times.
Many times.
Yes. Who we're super excited is going to come on to be an official guest for season 2. So give it a listen. Faith, could you tell us why you have a law named after you?
So the short version is I was abused by a teacher, and after going through the criminal justice process, found some problems with Illinois law. And I wrote a mousy email to a legislator basically saying, hey, this happened. Can you help fix this problem? And that turned into a couple of years of collaboration. And thankfully, at the very end of that process, they asked me if I wanted my name on it. And that is kind of like the rest is history. And it just kind of took off.
I feel like we're going to have to do an entire deep dive someday about bills and how they work.
Yeah, I've actually thought about, I mean, that's something that maybe we could work into the episode
I'm happy to talk
where
about
you're
it,
our guest, Faith.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, when I first started presenting, it was more so on like the why behind the law and, you know, how, like, why we had to make those changes, how this impacts kids, how it happens, what it looks like. But now I've kind of shifted where instead of focusing on my survivorship, I more present on the advocacy side of it and how to get laws passed and the obstacles to getting laws passed. And basically a refresher from I'm just a bill, because I think that was my starting point. That was literally the extent of my government knowledge when I emailed a lawmaker. Was I had seen the Schoolhouse Rock video. I did take government class, and it was my least favorite class in high school. I'm just saying, I had no experience. I did not go into it really thinking I would hear back from the legislator. I just thought I will do my civic duty and check the box. Click. I sent an email. I have notified an elected representative that there's a loophole. And then she was thankfully very collaborative and invited me to be part of that process. But I did get a front row seat to how to pass law and all of the steps. And it's on the outside, the steps are similar in each state, but there's a tremendous amount of variety even in the legislative process, state to state, from the handful of states that I've worked in. The idea of I'm a citizen, I have an idea, and that's how a bill starts its process, that is literally what happened here. And I had lived experience. And so, you know, we all as survivors can be subject matter experts, but I also got a front row seat to that process. And now I'm much more skilled in knowing what to expect and how the process works and just a lot of the different pieces, which I'm still learning. And something that I always say just from a survivor perspective is, you know, survivors don't owe the world anything. They survived. Like, they have been victimized by someone in the world and they don't owe it. Their goal is just to live. And that's how they overcome. They live. They don't owe anything more to anyone. However, I have found advocacy to be very empowering. I have not done it for therapeutic purposes. And it has involved a lot of, you know, I need thick skin because it's triggering. And sometimes people say insensitive things and you have to be willing to still press on. So I'm not saying it's easy work, but I have found it to be empowering. I know other people who have said, you know, I want to work on this and I want to move on. Like that's how they overcome is they're moving on and they're living, and that's how they overcome their abuse. And so I never want to put pressure on people to advocate or to use their voice beyond how they want to. But I do think it's helpful as one potential way of seeing good come from the harm and knowing that you are not powerless anymore, and that your weak point as a victim can be used to save other people or become a source of strength if you have the right connections and feel support to do that. What I have learned the most on this side of recovering from abuse as an adult, like looking back, seeing how it impacted me, looking forward, seeing how to overcome, is that you can't be alone. Like, the most damaging part of being an abuse victim is being alone and trapped. And so what needs to happen to heal is to know that you're not alone now, and that you can reconnect to other people and that people see you. And that idea of humans needing each other, that's not ever listed in school as like one's first needs. It's like, you need shelter, you need clothing. It's like, but you also need love. Like, people need other people. And that's what's so harmful about abuse, but that's what can be empowering on this side of it, is connecting to other people who are working together to stop it. Some of this seems so obvious, like teachers should not have sex with their high school kids, and yet it's legal in a lot of places depending on the age of the child. Like, and then trying to change that should be easy, but it's not, because people don't realize the dynamics of it, and the issue of consent is confusing and gets kind of I don't want to say misappropriated, but it's confusing for some people to understand the role of consent when there's that power dynamic, but the student is 18. And so that's one thing where it seems like it should be obvious, but then it's really hard to pass these laws. And then the administrative side of things has some parallels where it's like, if someone does something like this that's harmful, they should not be allowed to conceal that. So how does it happen that, they move districts and no one knows about it? I mean, on the one hand, it seems like it should be these obvious fixes, but then when you get into the weeds of what the laws are and the different areas of code that they live in, it is a complex situation. So what I try to focus on, because I've talked to teachers, I've talked to school administrators, and then my voice is like the voice of the children, so to speak. And all of those voices need to be heard, because any changes made in a school setting, they're not made in a vacuum. So if you're focusing on protecting children, but you're not thinking about due process rights, that can create problems. But the same, if you're only focusing on teacher due process rights, then the protection of children can get interfered with, depending on if you're acknowledging that complexity. So it is harder than it sounds to change it, but it is doable. And I think it's just one of those, it takes some tenacity and teamwork to keep on keeping on to move the needle. It's a hard topic. And even kids who are in a school where someone else is abused, those kids are impacted as members of the school community, even if they're not abused. And other teachers, I think, that work in a school where someone perpetrates this, that's hard on them too. Not to say that no one ever is a bad actor as a bystander or an enabler. That does happen. But I think it's just a hard topic for people. It's uncomfortable and it's gross. And that's why we need to stop it, because the kids are the one bearing that weight if we don't talk about it.
For sure. And I think, I was just talking to Janet about this like last week when we talked, is like, I think unfortunately as a culture, we are talking about this more because of the Epstein files right now. So I feel like this is like a good time to be talking about these bigger issues and these loopholes, because I do think as a society, people are suddenly kind of going, wait, what the fuck's going on? And like, what is this policy? And I think that the survivors coming forward today in DC is like amazing, terrifying. I'm very worried for them and their safety, but like amazing that many people are willing to come forward and say, fuck it. Yeah. You're not going to release it. We will, it's pretty badass. So I think it's an interesting time in our country, because there's just a lot of duality between a lot of people are suddenly paying attention and a lot of people are actively putting their heads in the sand. But I think a majority of people are really kind of having a bit of their own cultural aha moment right now to like how prevalent all of this child sexual abuse is, across the board. But I know that Diana and I have talked on the pod a lot about how there's something about, I don't know if it's teacher sexual abuse or if it's that 18-year-old, I don't know what it is, but there is something about this kind of abuse that people seem to always put caveats around or try to excuse away in a way that like they don't in other situations. And even like when I've shared my story with people I know, they always ask like, well, how old were you? And I always want to be like, does it matter? Like I was still a student in a public school. I was not in college, does the answer matter?
And even if you were in college, it's still predatory if, a professor is like,
I just found out at the so I just started teaching a college course today. And I found out last week that as long as the student is not actively in your class, you can date them. It's frowned upon, but it's allowed. And I was like, so wait a minute. So if I have a student in the fall and I date him in the spring, and they were like, yep. And I was like, well, that's fucked up. It's just like, that's not cool. Like,
that's like the
I hate it. I fucking hate it. Like,
age has its own role with the issue of consent, but it's not relevant in this place with a K-12 school, because the power dynamic is what is problematic. So that is the hang up though. Some people, like I had a state senator from Illinois back a couple years ago say something along the lines of, we don't want to outlaw consensual sex, and talked about hypotheticals where, what if it was a volunteer tutor and a student, and how do we make it where, that kind of thing. Right. And so we had people defending this. We had a state's attorney. We had people saying like, this is not what's going to happen. Like, that's not what, but that's where it stood, and that part was cut out of Faith's law because we tried to address this issue with older students. Then just a couple years later, this spring, I was testifying on a similar issue in Texas, and Democrats and Republicans alike, this was not a party line issue. That committee on the same issue said, of course it's not consensual, which in Texas, it's already illegal, regardless of the age of the student. I was there to talk about the statute of limitations, but just two different legislators in two different states, very different understandings of what consent looks like in that teacher-student role. And so, yeah, I think that culturally, that's kind of at the crux of the matter is what does consent look like when there's a teacher and a student, and particularly when the student is older. I also think that that's one issue, like you said, is what happens when the student turns 18, which I would argue they can't give consent, but in some states legally, that's not what it says. But there's that separate issue, like you said, where it's kind of siloed from other forms of child abuse, not necessarily in the definitions of child abuse, but I think just in cultural awareness of it. And I don't know exactly why, but that is bothersome. And the part that concerns me most about it is that teachers are mandated reporters, and they are trained to spot the signs of abuse in a child and to know how to report that. And so I think that training kicks in when they see indications of abuse occurring in the home, because it's an outside perpetrator, and they're saving countless kids, and they should be commended for that. Like, teachers are saving kids as mandated reporters. But I think that there's some just natural human inertia when you're imagining if your coworker is a potential perpetrator and understanding what those warning signs are, and that child abuse is still child abuse, but they may think that it looks a certain way and then miss the indicators of it.
Wow, and what a great clip.
Wow. Faith, did you hear Faith making all those great points? And like, she could pop off for a while talking about making laws. I'm so excited for the full episode. She's another survivor who sent an email, like it started with an email where she was like, hey, I need help, or I have an idea. Can you, a professional, help me with it? And it led to some really important change. And she's been just such a helpful resource to so many other survivors. And she's been amazing in like educating other people. So I'm really excited to have her on. She'll be our first guest for season 2. And I think she'll be a super awesome way to kick off season 2. But yeah. All right,
Diana. Well, we've done it. I'm very proud of us. I'm going to miss looking at your face on screen every week. It's going to be weird to not, we'll have to like do phone calls or something. It'll be weird to just not default see you every week.
Right? What are we going to do?
But I am looking for, relaxing. That's what we're going to fucking do.
Yeah.
That's what we're going to do. We're going to relax for a little while, which is fine. Because like Carl likes to say, even badasses need a break sometimes.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you, listeners, for sticking with us this entire time and being patient with us as we figure out audio and the timing of our outro music and my fucking nose whistles. I'm so sorry. I will get it figured out. I probably won't have this chair anymore in season 2. But yes, we sincerely appreciate that you all have enjoyed the show as much as you have and given us the helpful and loving feedback that you have. And take care of yourselves. Who the fuck knows where we will be in 3 months or 4 months? So please find your people, find community, find the helpers, take some deep breaths.
Yep. Get off the internet.
Get off the internet.
Go outside, touch grass.
And be safe.
Yes, we love you.
We love you. Go Bloom. Go Bloom yourself.
Yes.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Yeah, maybe it was something with like the pressure from the Coke that I was drinking, and then it maybe came out of my ear somehow. I don't know. It's all connected, right? Ear, nose, and throat. Is that not how it works?
I could be wrong, but I don't think you can have Coke Zero come out of your stomach into your ear. You sound like a Republican talking about the reproductive system.
Well,
just a wild misunderstanding of how the human body works.